There it is. WSJM Morning Show video live stream. Just making sure everything got connected there. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. It's Wednesday, September 3rd. And my special guest this morning is Kerry Wright. He is the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good, Ken.
It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Good to be with you this morning, bright and early.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I often ask people. Are you a morning person? Do you consider yourself a morning person?
I am a morning person, yes. I'm the first one up in the house and always have been, and enjoy getting up early.
It's a great time of day.
It is.
You can get a lot done. There's quiet around you.
That's the key, quiet.
Yeah.
You got it. That's part of the reason I enjoy getting up early.
When did you assumed the role of board president in 2025, this year?
Correct.
And how long have you been involved with St. Joseph Public Schools?
Yeah, 2016, I became a trustee on the Board of Education, served as trustee for several years, moved into the role of vice president. And then Barry Conybear came to me at the beginning of this year, and he was ready to take on some other professional challenges in his career, which afforded the opportunity for me to step up into the role of board president.
Yeah. How is it so far?
It's good. Yeah.
Is it what you expected?
The job of a board president is pretty easy when you have a superintendent like we have at St. Joe Public Schools.
That's nice. Kristen Box. Yeah.
Kristen Box is
nice.
A rock star. We're very lucky to have her. She's got deep roots in our district, which adds up to a professional respect from her peers.
Yeah.
And she's good at what she does.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a joy to talk with when we talk about school issues. She comes in on a regular basis to bring us news from the Bear Den, and you've got a Bear shirt on today. What is that?
That's my Maize and Blue Athletic Fund logo that you're looking at there.
Nice.
Yeah,
the Maize and Fund. We'll talk about the Maize and Blue Fund, the athletic fund. It's specifically to support athletics and that student culture for St. Joseph. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, Maize and Blue Fund. The idea was kind of born 2019.
Yeah.
We met with some leadership at the St. Joe Public Schools Foundation at the time to say, hey, you guys do amazing things in our district. You support a lot of things. Except for athletics, you don't support athletics. And asked them to kind of think about how that might look in the foundation. And their bylaws just at the end of the day didn't allow them to support athletics. And so out of a really necessity, the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund was invented or born, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, Ken, our athletic department at St. Joe Public Schools, we operate at nearly $750,000 a year loss.
Holy mackerel.
In other words, the revenue that we take in, mainly at the gate, doesn't match what it costs for us to run sports programs,
like lights and everything you need, the
officials,
uniforms and everything else.
Salaries, uniforms. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. $750,000 loss.
And so our general fund subsidizes that shortfall. And so we wanted to go beyond just, getting the program to a break even. We really wanted to have an impact on our students and our student athletes. I shared with you as I walked in here today, about 50% of the students at St. Joe High School participate in at least one athletic event.
Yeah.
And so as you talk about impact, this has direct impact on almost half of our student population. And then, of course, you guys were gracious enough to share the news that broke a week or two ago that the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund announced that all students for all of this school year get into all athletic events at no cost as a result of the Maize and Blue Athletic.
That is so super exciting, and I think it's going to be a real boost to culture for all the reasons that your team laid out. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll get to know Kerry Wright just a little bit more as well. He's the board president for the St. Joseph Public Schools. We'll also talk about the bond issue that's coming up in November. So all those things and more coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Stay tuned to the video live stream. We'll get all of our local news here on the regular radio stream in just a moment.
Extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning and welcome to your Wednesday, September 3rd, 7:05 a.m. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. We have a special guest in the studio this morning. It's Kerry Wright. He is the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education, and we'll learn a little bit more about who he is and what he's been doing as president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We'll also talk about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund and some of the activities that they're bringing to students. That's all coming up here in just a couple of moments. We'll get first our weather and then our news, and then we'll get to sports with Dave Wolf in just a moment. But on the video live stream, we'll have this whole interview for the whole hour unfiltered. Just tune in on YouTube, Facebook, or the WSJM Smart app. For the forecast for today, we started to talk about it just before 7 o'clock. It's going to be a day of transition weather-wise. Partly sunny today. 50% chance of showers, maybe a storm or two, high around 77 degrees in the warmest spots of southwest Michigan. But it looks like, as far as St. Joseph is concerned, 72 degrees, and Benton Harbor as well for a high. Gusting winds southwest to begin with, 5 to 15 miles per hour, but they're going to gust up to 25 miles per hour. So by the time we hit this afternoon, it's going to be a raw day, rainy and windy. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, a 70% chance of showers continuing, a low overnight around 52 degrees. Thursday's forecast, partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers early and a high around 65. Friday, partly sunny and a high around 67 with that rain chance continuing. We'll carry that into the weekend as well. Some of the news that we're following from the WSJM newsroom this morning. Caring Connection in Benton Harbor is urging lawmakers not to cut state funding for victim services. CEO Robin McGinnis says the Michigan House budget would reduce that funding by about $4 million statewide, including about $150,000 locally.
That includes not only our domestic violence shelter here in county, as well as our sexual assault, but the child advocacy centers and all kinds of victim services in the state of Michigan.
McGinnis says that would mean fewer services and possibly survivors of domestic violence being turned away.
People will end up not coming into shelter, they'll be living on the street, and potentially remaining in a home where there's violence and exposing children to ongoing violence. It's a devastating budget cut.
Caring Connection sheltered 108 women and children last year, providing housing, food, legal help, and counseling. McGinnis is asking people to contact their local state lawmaker as the state Senate takes up the budget. Berrien County Parks officials say the summer season at Silver Beach went smooth this year. Parks Director Jill Adams says final attendance numbers are still being tallied, but crowds were strong.
This year started off slow in May as far as numbers at the park, but we did see a rebound in June and July. We're still working on getting our August numbers together as well as the holiday weekend, but we are very on track to be consistent with our 2024 visitor numbers.
Adams says the season as a whole was one of the best they've experienced in many years.
It was a fantastic year. We had wonderful staff, great lifeguard team, our vendors on site with the concession stand and kayak rentals all worked well together and just had a great summer.
She credits new law enforcement powers for reducing problems at the beach, along with improvements, including a new playground and concession upgrades. South Haven, the city council is keeping track of several housing developments planned across their city. City manager Kate Hosier told the council this week the projects range from the Overton site redevelopment to the Center Street project, which just received a planning extension. Councilmember Joe Reeser said the complexity of the projects might require some dedicated oversight.
We have all these moving parts. How can you, Kate, put together a plan or a person that can put all of this together, that has the experience, that has the know-how to do it?
Hosier agreed, noting the scope of the housing work is significant.
So myself and Michael are pretty much the ones who spearhead this because this is a council priority. Quite frankly, this is what I should be spending my time mostly on, not only, managing a staff of up to 150 people, but this is a council priority and this is a big one. She
said the Trailside 2 project on Elkenberg Street is making steady progress, and Habitat for Humanity has shown interest in building new homes if land can be secured. And finally, the Van Buren Conservation District is planning to plant nearly 5,000 trees in the next 2 years. The project, done in partnership with the Michigan Lakes and Streams Association, focuses on properties around 6 lakes in Van Buren and Cass counties. Aaron Fuller with the district says the goal is to improve water quality.
We want to increase the tree cover around some of our inland lakes in southwest Michigan, because planting those trees obviously has a lot of benefits for wildlife, but it's also really good for our water quality.
Fuller says property owners on those lakes can apply to have trees planted for free by the contractors.
We'll just have landowners fill out an interest form, and then we'll work with them to figure out what kind of tree they want, where on their property they want it, and we'll get all that figured out.
She says planting will start this fall with about 60 applications already received. That's a look at some of the news from around our region. It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got more to talk about this hour. We're visiting with Kerry Wright. He is the board president for the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. And let's say a good morning to Mr. Wright. Good morning, Kerry. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. We love to get the origin stories of people. You can start at the very beginning. You're only standing between us and sports, so go.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Southwest Michigan. Grew up in Berrien Springs. Graduated high school, went to Albion College, played football at Albion College for 4
position?
years. I was a corner, played defensive back a long time ago.
Okay.
Went and got a master's degree in education.
Oh, all right.
And believe it or not, I taught school for 2 years.
Really?
I did some student teaching at Lakeshore High School.
Okay.
And shortly thereafter moved to Chicago and taught in the Chicago public school system.
Oh, my goodness.
At 600 South State Street, Jones College Prep.
Okay. What did you teach?
I taught a couple of things. I had a degree in communication and PE and English. And so taught some English classes, some public speaking classes,
Okay.
health and PE. But didn't, after 2 years of doing it, didn't think that was my calling.
Yeah.
And I moved down to Florida, believe it or not, and got my start in real estate in Southeast Florida. I was living in West Palm Beach, Jupiter area.
Nice.
And kind of caught the tail end of a real estate boom in the early 2000s. Moved up to Chicago with that company that I was working with in Chicago. And then from there brought me to Southwest Michigan in 2008 to help start the Harbor Shores Resort Project.
Oh, that little thing we know as Harbor Shores. Okay.
The little thing is Harbor Shores, yes.
That's a great transition to go all the way, start here and then make your way down to Florida, back up to Chicago and back to Harbor Shores. And so that development, highly successful and still on the grow.
Still on the grow, yeah. I oftentimes reflect back on moving here in 2008 and sharing with some of my colleagues in Chicago that I was moving to St. Joe and Benton Harbor to start real estate development. And people would look at me like, boy, that guy's lost his mind. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Harbor Shores, through, challenges that everybody experienced in the market from 2008 to 12, 13, flourished. And I tell people all the time when we moved here, the Harbor Shores resort community there wasn't a road built. There wasn't a house built. We've built nearly 250 homes since 2008. A hotel, a marina, the Renaissance Athletic Club, the Wii course that just opened up. I mean, it's a pretty incredible lifestyle that's been created in a very short period of time.
What made you decide to serve on the school board?
Well, I shared with you just minutes ago that I have a master's degree in education. And so there was always a part of me that kind of missed the being around kids and serving kids. And so when there was a trustee in 2016 that had to give up her seat because of a job relocation. And so I went and met with some of the leadership at the school at the time to learn more about the opportunity, and thought it could be a perfect fit for some of my background, my experiences. And with kids coming into the district, I saw it as a wonderful opportunity.
Okay. We're going to talk about your service in the school district, and we're going to talk about the school district, what's happening there, talk about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund. It's all coming up, and Harbor Shores. We'll talk about that as well, if you like. Coming up in just a moment, we'll start that chat on the video live stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on our WSJM smart app if you have that so enabled. If you don't, you should download it now, by the way. But anyway, we'll continue that conversation with Kerry Wright right here on WSJM. Right now, sports with Dave Wolf. Okay, on the video live stream. So, it's funny, and I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but it seems like a lot of folks who start here in Southwest Michigan make their way down to Florida for a period of time, and then they come back.
Yeah.
Is that because it's so cold here from time to time?
Yeah, for me, it was just kind of dumb luck. I had got introduced to a leader in this company through some relationships that I had in sports in college.
Okay.
And this gentleman was recruiting specifically college student athletes
Okay.
to build his sales team down in Florida. And so I interviewed him. He and I hit it off, and that's kind of how my path ended up down to Southeast Florida.
Why the sports team folks recruitment?
I think there's a common understanding in the sales world that folks who have been through college sports and kind of gone through some of the things you experience as a student athlete in college are prepared to succeed as a salesperson.
Okay.
For a company, going through rejection and how to handle that.
Yeah.
Perseverance, a lot of the things you experience on a day-to-day basis as an athlete.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. You mentioned you were at the tail end of that real estate market boom. Never want to be at the tail end, or at least not hang on to the tail too long. And what was it like for you in 2007, 2008?
Well, I'm so thankful for that time of my life. We've gone back up, from that kind of challenging time. But for me, it's a constant reminder of kind of the ups and downs that the real estate industry brings. And so having experienced and frankly thrived in a very, very challenging environment and very challenging time in the real estate market, kind of proved to me that I can do it.
Yeah.
I can weather the storm when things get a little more difficult.
Yeah, because Florida, one of the epicenters of the housing bust, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Shortly after I left Southeast Florida in 2005, 6, 7, I had friends, obviously colleagues that were still working down there, and very, very, very challenging and devastating times to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting to me what has happened in that market, especially if you think about private residential communities, and then you think about what timeshares and condominiums and everything else has kind of moved into. They're making money somehow.
Oh yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yep,
Florida's
always going to be an attractive place to be.
Yeah. All right. We're talking with Kerry Wright. He's the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We're going to continue this conversation and talk a little bit more about St. Joseph Public Schools. We'll talk about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund and more. If you have questions or comments, you feel free to put them in on the video live stream. Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, others who are joining us. We appreciate you. And if you have questions, just put them into the chat. We'll bring them forward. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Back with more in just a moment.
It only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Partly sunny to start today. We'll see increasing clouds and showers and thunderstorms as we head into the middle part of the day. High temperatures today right around 75. We drop down to 52 tonight with chances of showers and storms. And then for tomorrow, partly sunny, slight chance of rain showers and a high of only 65. We do expect bigger waves to develop at the beaches tonight and through tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
It's 7:18. It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. My special guest this hour is Kerry Wright. He is the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. And we'll talk a little bit about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund in just a moment. But first off, let's talk a little bit more about St. Joseph Public Schools. For those who maybe they don't understand what a Board of Education does, what do you see your view? What do you view your role as a Board of Education?
Yeah, great question, Ken, and probably a question that we don't get asked very often. So I appreciate you asking it.
Yeah.
Our job is primarily focused on 2 big buckets. Number one, the only employee that we hire in the district is our superintendent.
Okay.
And so hiring and in some instances firing our superintendent and making sure we have that right person in the right seat leading our district. So that's first and foremost. Second, we're tasked with making sure that the $40 million budget that the school has is executed properly.
Mm.
So it really comes down to those two things: making sure we have the right superintendent in place, and then managing our budget.
Okay. All right. And I mean, is the role, you've been serving since 2016 on the board, and as the board president since the beginning of this year, is the role what you thought it would be?
Like anything in life, it takes a little bit to get ramped up and get comfortable in that role. I'm coming up on 10 years serving on the board.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. It's a big time commitment. The commitment's even larger when you're sitting in the role as president. But again, I sincerely enjoy it. Enjoy the work. And as I said earlier, when you have a superintendent like we have, it makes the job really enjoyable.
Yeah. What are some of the main challenges you face as a board?
Well, I think this goes beyond St. Joe Public Schools, but as you likely know, our state still hasn't passed a budget
Right.
For the upcoming year. And so, school funding, I think remains a topic that is on a lot of people's mind in education in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. How do you set a budget for the school year if the state hasn't passed a budget yet that covers that school year?
There's a
and
lot.
you've started the school year.
Yeah, great question. A lot of assumptions. Brenda Graham, our CFO, does a marvelous job of putting together her budget. And it's amazing. Out of a $40 million budget, when we go through our audit for the last several years, she's consistently almost right to the penny, which is amazing on a budget that large.
That's great.
So she does an amazing job of talking to peers of hers across the state and coming up with some assumptions that are real assumptions in a conservative manner that gives us a realistic budget.
Yeah. So working on assumptions right now, and hopefully the state will get their work done soon, so that you can make sure everything is going to balance it by the end of the year.
And then the other thing I'll add,
Yeah.
When people ask me like, what keeps you up at night? This might be a nice segue. Is getting this bond passed in November.
Let's talk about that.
That's a big task that we have in front of us as a Board of Education, as a district. Is getting that across the finish line.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What are you asking for in this bond?
Great question. So really 3 buckets that we're focused on: improving safety and security, addressing our infrastructure needs, and then upgrading our learning environments. If passed, the bond would generate just shy of $60 million with no expected increase to the millage rate, which I think is extremely important.
Okay.
It would keep the millage rate the same as it's been since 2020. We feel like we've done a very honest and earnest job of, going back and learning from taxpayers why the bond last election was defeated so soundly.
Yeah.
I think we got something like 3,000 surveys back from folks trying to really hone in and understand what was it about that last bond that caused you to vote no. And going out and talking to people as well. So I really think we've done a nice job of listening and learning as to why that last bond failed, and really looking forward to November 4th of this year.
What did they tell you? Why did it fail? What did you need to change?
Great question. I think there were some asks in there that were kind of on the tip of the iceberg from an education perspective. For example, the child learning center that was going to be over on South State Street. I think people were confused about what that really was. The state has put significant dollars towards kindergarten, young fives, preschool. I'm trying to get kids into the school system earlier.
Yeah.
And I think the general public viewed it as a glorified daycare.
Oh, okay.
Why are we funding what looks like to be a private for-profit daycare through taxpayer dollars? And of course, there were some things in there for athletics too that people, I don't think were super excited about. So we've really kind of scaled all of that back, got rid of the early childhood center completely.
Okay.
And focused on those 3 buckets.
The early, just talking about the early childhood center, some people obviously thought it was a good idea and that it would help build a better educational foundation for students coming in. Why is that no longer the case?
Well, I think we spoke to our constituents, our taxpayers, and they clearly rejected that idea. And so I think that accounted for nearly $12 million of that almost $100 million proposal. And so as you start to kind of peel the onion back and really try to focus in on what can we do to get this thing passed and really address what we have to address.
Right.
You have to make those tough decisions when you're creating a budget like this.
Yeah. So the new bond proposal, which will be on the ballot this early November, it's the right mix.
Yeah, we think so. I think most importantly, it's a 0 mil increase. And that's really kind of the message I want folks to hear is by approving this $60 million bond proposal, your taxes are not going to increase. There's major infrastructure issues that we have at our school that need to be addressed, and our sinking fund that voters approved affords us about $1 million a year to try to address some of those infrastructure needs. And I'll give you some numbers. For example, to replace the roof alone at just the high school is about $2.3 million.
Wow. I thought my roof was expensive.
Yeah. So when you have a sinking fund that it gives you $1 million a year and you have a roof on a high school that's 2.3, people sometimes don't understand. We get money from the state on a per student basis, but 97% of those dollars go right back into our classroom. And so the way that public schools are funded doesn't allow, there's only two ways for us to make capital improvements: our sinking fund and pass a bond.
Yeah.
And so it's critical that we get this passed to take care of some of these infrastructure needs that we have.
Yeah. Okay. And the coffee chats, will you attend the coffee chats as they happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to Kristen. She's hitting the street. I think this morning she's over at Martin's on Cleveland and St. Joe meeting with folks, getting face to face with people, answering their questions, learning about some of their concerns is paramount. To getting this thing approved and helping people understand it. So, I think Kristen, myself as board president, the other school board members are going to try to join her as she makes her rounds throughout the community over the next 2 months.
Excellent. Okay. We're talking with Kerry Wright. He's the president of St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We're talking about a number of different issues, including some of the challenges that the school faces. Do you ever think that being a board president would require you to go out and ask the community for money for your schools?
Well, thankfully, it's something that I'm comfortable doing. I do it in my role as a vice president of the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned about our board over the years is, they'll roll up their sleeves and do whatever they need to do to move the district forward, whether that means asking money, whatever it takes. We have a board that they're doers.
Yeah. Is it because, you're not alone in this. Schools everywhere have to ask for these bond proposals, and they have to ask for the piece of the millage. Are schools, public education funded wrongly?
I don't know that it's funded wrongly per se, Ken, but our public education finance has been the same since the early 90s, since Proposal A. And it seems every couple of years this topic finds its way into conversation, and there's certainly a need for change in this space, not just in Michigan. I feel like across the whole United States.
Yeah.
I think it's something that will eventually be addressed and be changed.
Yeah, because schools like yours have to come and ask, and sometimes the bond proposals get rejected. Other times you've got movements like Axe My Tax out there saying, let's just get rid of any and all property taxes. It's a challenging environment when you think about the finances.
No doubt about it. Yeah. And, again, I think kudos to our administrative team after the last election, going out and talking to folks and really trying to learn from them about how do we get this thing passed again, when we go out again.
Yeah.
So, like anything, when you listen and learn from people, you can adjust your strategy and move in the right direction.
Okay, we're talking with Kerry Wright, President, St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund and the cool things they're doing. That's going to come up in just a moment right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We have a couple of messages to get in. We'll continue the conversation on our video live stream, and we've got our Bloomberg financial report coming up on the radio here in just a moment. It's 7:30. Okay, we're back on the video live stream, and we're talking with Kerry Wright, President of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. Thanks for walking through the bond proposal with us. And if people want more information, I know Kristen has put a lot of information online, as well as holding the coffee chats. But as you go forward and think about some of the things that are important to a school community, to the students, to the culture, to the pride of belonging. Let's talk about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund. Explain it, if you wouldn't mind, to those who might not understand what it is.
Yeah, thank you. Something that I'm very passionate about, something that I'm very proud of. Maize and Blue Athletic Fund was really born out of this idea that we have an amazing foundation, St. Joe Public Schools Foundation, in place in St. Joe that does wonderful, wonderful things. Unfortunately,
and sorry, just to pause, these two organizations, you help fill the gap.
Absolutely.
The money gap for things that aren't or can't be paid for with public dollars.
Absolutely. Like the one-to-one computing that we are so lucky to have at St. Joe Schools, the foundation funds that, among many, many other things. So athletics was the only thing that the St. Joe Public Schools Foundation was not supporting, and according to their bylaws, could not support.
Okay.
So we saw this void, this opportunity to help address a significant shortfall in athletics at St. Joe High School. You know, I shared with you earlier about how our athletic program operates at about $750,000 loss every year. So we're operating in the red at about $750,000 a year. What you account for our coaches' salaries, referees, uniforms, all the things that come along with athletics.
Yeah.
And so the Maize and Blue Fund was born, and we're not ready or prepared to buy uniforms. That's not what we're here for. We really want to have an impact on all students at the high school. And one of the biggest announcements that we've made to date is this, that students are getting into all athletic events all year long at no cost. And so that's been incredible.
That is really cool. Who came up with that idea and why? And feel free to drink your coffee while we're doing this. That's fine. Just casual conversation.
I don't know that I can pinpoint a single person. I think there's a few folks that started talking about how can we have an impact on all students in St. Joe Public Schools through this athletic foundation. And attendance at events. I've got 3 daughters, and so we attend a lot of athletic events, and it was an observation of mine that attendance at events just seemed to be down.
Okay.
And at $7 per person, that can become a barrier for some folks. If you're a family of 5 and you want to go watch a high school girls basketball game on a Thursday, Friday night, and it's $35, you might not be as apt to do that if today that same family of 5 would get into the game for $14. Because their children would get in at no cost. So I think it was a collective effort of several different leaders in the district coming together to make it happen. And I'm so thankful for Kristen Box and our superintendent, and Kevin Guzzo, our athletic director, for getting behind the Maize and Blue Fund and their authentic support for it. They both attend our board meetings and are very active participants in getting this off the ground.
And why was it important? It's not. It's the money is a big thing, but why is it important, do you think, for students to rally around and have that opportunity to attend these athletic events?
Great question. So I'll give you a great example of that, Ken. Last night, St. Joe boys soccer played Portage Central at home. Portage Central is one of the top teams in the entire state of Michigan. And we played them to a 1-1 draw last night. It was a great game. But the crowd last night for that game was pretty amazing. Coach Prattley, the football coach, had the football team in the stands with their uniforms on.
Nice.
Cheering for the soccer team. He had some of the kids in the pool area cheering on the swimming and diving team. So I don't know if that would have happened the way it did without the Maize of Blue Fund, allowing student athletes to get in and watch their friends that they see in the hallway every day at no cost. So yeah, last night was a fun atmosphere for boys high school soccer.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the things that I really like about the messages that you sent out when you brought this forward was it really it allows that connection, that bond for the whole school community to really have that opportunity to enjoy and to be part of a thing.
Yeah, with nearly 50% of our kids at the high school participating in a sport, that leaves another 50% that don't participate in a sport. So let's get them to games, get them, interacting with their friends that they see at school, and it builds culture. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking with Kerry Wright. We'll come back. He's the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We'll come back and talk more with him in just a few moments. We've got to get some news in from ABC, our local news preview, state news, and sports. It's all coming up right here on WSJM.
Early 0.6% to 0.8%. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
We doing all right so far? Is this good? Okay. 7:35. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. My guest this morning is Kerry Wright. He's the president of St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. We've talked about Kerry's background. We talked about the St. Joseph Public Schools, some of the challenges they're facing, and the bond proposal that they have up in November. We started to talk on the video live stream about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund, and we'll talk some more about that here in a few moments. It's coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Don't miss a minute of the conversation. You can check it out. It's happening right now on the video live stream on YouTube, on Facebook, and on our WSJM app. We do have to get some news in here, though. The forecast for today does call for partly sunny skies and some rain this afternoon, probably around 3-4 o'clock, somewhere around there. We've got a good chance of rain and maybe a storm or two, a thunderstorm. High today around 77 degrees, and then it's going to cool off significantly. We're going to have wind gusts this afternoon out of the southwest initially up to 25 miles per hour. Then the wind is going to shift this evening to be out of the northwest, bringing in cooler temperatures. Again, mostly cloudy tonight, a 70% chance of showers, and a low overnight around 52 degrees, probably colder in some areas. Thursday's forecast, partly sunny, 30% chance of showers early in the day, and then a high around 65 degrees. 60 in Benton Harbor right now, 64 in St. Joseph, and 62 in South Haven with some cloudy skies. It is the WSJM Morning Show. The latest world and national news now. Our state news is coming up next.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Several victims of Jeffrey Epstein plan to speak to reporters today, pushing for the release of more of the Epstein files. Republican House member Thomas Massie also breaking with his party ranks, calling for the same. ABC's Jay O'Brien's on Capitol Hill.
Massie telling me yesterday about President Trump that he thinks he can make this, quote, go away by telling people there's nothing there. But Massie saying this is, quote, bigger than President Trump. In the next few hours, we expect dozens of women who say they were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein to rally up here on Capitol Hill to turn up the pressure even more on lawmakers.
In Beijing, a massive military parade showing off weapons and troops to world leaders, including North Korea's Kim Jong-un, who made a rare public appearance out of his country. Russia's Vladimir Putin was also there at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. A Venezuelan vessel destroyed in the Caribbean by U.S. forces who say it was manned by cartel members, was carrying drugs, and was headed for the U.S. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
7:38 WSJM Morning Show continues. I'm Ken Lundberg. Some of the local news stories that we'll have for you just after 8 o'clock this morning. The Michigan Department of Transportation is calling on Berrien County to create a new transit authority to replace the existing authority within the next 2 years. The agency has sent a letter to county officials saying the move is needed because they say, frankly, TCATA, the Twin Cities Area Transportation Authority, is not doing the job with the finances that they're given. So we'll talk about that story coming up just after 8 o'clock. Also, Present Pillars in Benton Harbor looking for a new home. They say they're permanently closing their headquarters on West Main Street in Benton Harbor. The group suspended activities last month after structural issues were discovered in their building. We'll tell you a little bit more about that and how that will affect that organization. And also Lake Michigan College holding an open forum next week as it begins its search for a brand new president. We'll talk about those stories and more. It's all coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We're continuing our conversation with Kerry Wright. He's the Board of Education President for St. Joseph Public Schools. We'll continue that conversation in just a sec right here on WSJM. It's 7:39. Sports with Dave Wolf is next after a look at state news.
The Michigan.
And we're continuing our conversation with Kerry Wright, President of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. You feeling okay? You don't have a cold, do you?
I have allergies.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which is no fun.
No, it's not fun. It's as I understand it, it's a particularly allergy problematic season right now.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. Well, I wish you well on that. Okay, because we had scheduled earlier to have you come in.
Yes.
Couple months now.
Yes, I think it was.
And then you, thankfully, you did the right thing.
Yes.
You let me know that you caught something, you didn't want to bring it in. So that's why I asked you now. Are you sick again? You're always around school kids. So you have 3 daughters.
Yes.
That's fantastic. How old are they?
Lauer is in the 10th grade. She's going to be turning 16 here very, very soon.
Driving
soon, which is scary. Our middle daughter, Sadell, is in the 8th grade. And then we have Malin, our youngest, in the 6th grade.
Okay. That's fantastic. I've got 3 boys. One of them is just a new freshman in high school. The other 2 are in college. One of them is finishing, he'll be finishing up in December. His 4 years at Cornell, and then my Sawyer. So Stewart's at Cornell. Sawyer is at University of Michigan, and he's just begun his 2nd year at
What high
Ross.
school did they go to?
They went down in Niles.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Vikings. Sorry about the
Hey, that's all
what
right.
happened
It was a battle
on Friday. Yeah, was it a good battle? I didn't watch it.
I didn't go.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter did, and she said, "Yeah, it was physical."
Okay.
Which is what I would expect from 2 teams like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good
Niles
rivalry.
Always has tough kids.
Yeah.
Coach Prattley has done amazing things with our kids and making them, tough and getting them in the weight room. So
Yeah. You expecting a good year?
Yeah, in talking to Coach Prattley, I think he's really excited about the upcoming season. I was reflecting back on that loss a little bit, and you probably know this as good as anybody. Niles last year lost their first game of the season last year to St. Joe.
To St. Joe.
And
yeah.
then didn't lose a game until they got to the state finals.
Yeah.
And lost in
It
the
was
state
exciting.
championship. So hopefully St. Joe can draw on that as inspiration.
7:42. We're talking with Kerry Wright, President of St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. Can we talk a little bit about Harbor Shores and what happened? What your role was there? Talk a little bit about when somebody, if you don't mind, how did Harbor Shores first come on your radar?
Yeah, so in 2007-8, as my wife and I were living in Chicago and starting to think about having start a family,
Yeah.
we thought, geez, is this where we want to do that in Chicago? We were living in the western suburbs, and so we started mapping out Grand Rapids, Traverse City, and as we were kind of throwing all these cities into the hat. And then, you take the next step of, okay, if I did live there, what does my career look like?
Right.
And I had read about this Harbor Shores project, and I thought, wow, well, that's pretty interesting. A golf course, master plan community. This is right up my alley. This is what I've been doing for the last 5 years of my professional life. And so I came over here kind of unannounced and met with some of the leadership, both at Harbor Shores and at Whirlpool at the time. And they said, we like your resume and kind of your experiences and think you could be a good fit, but you're probably a year or two ahead of when we need you.
Mm.
And so we still decided to make the move to Southwest Michigan because I felt like from a long-term perspective, this Harbor Shores project could be where I ended up, and it was a good fit. And as fate would have it, we weren't here more than 3 months before Harbor Shores called and said, you know what, we're actually ready for you now.
Yeah. Wow.
And so boots on the ground in 2008 and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. And Harbor Shores has really transformed that whole part of town and probably the larger community.
Yeah. I share with folks often, Gene Clock Park.
Yeah.
It's a beach that we all get to enjoy today. And it's where we take our girls, when they want to go to the beach in the summer. But when I was a kid growing up, I didn't even know Gene Clark Park Beach existed.
Wow.
It just wasn't a place we were allowed to go.
Yeah.
And so that story alone, I think kind of brings to life exactly what you just said, the transformation of the area north of the bridge.
Yeah. And as you see what's happening now, because they've got ongoing development, right? So they already have the one marina by the hotel, but now they're going to extend the marina over to on the other side of the bridge, put some development there. Then you got modern plastics as well. I mean, transforming that.
Yeah, getting that demolished and preparing that site for future development is really kind of indicative of what's occurred throughout that whole area over there. And we're excited to bring that whole site back to life, clean it up. It's an environmental catastrophe. And so going through the remediation process and again, getting it ready for development is going to really clean it up from a visual aspect over there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it all started as in the first place, right? Former industrial land.
Yeah, I tell people this all the time, Ken, to kind of give you some sense of what has occurred north of the bridge. Harbor Shores has removed enough trash and waste to fill a football field, goalpost to goalpost, 6 stories high.
You're kidding.
So if you can imagine like a small mid-rise building in downtown Chicago, just full of trash and debris, that's what we've done. And so early on in the project, before we ever built anything, I always said, gosh, if we never built a home, a hotel, a marina, anything, I would consider this project a success just by that measure. Just by getting it cleaned up.
And that's not dirt. That's not just dirt. That's actual debris.
That's dilapidated buildings. It's debris. It's it's real stuff, bad stuff. Yeah, it's amazing what's occurred when you look at some of the historical pictures, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you look at it today. It's kind of hard to grasp.
Thinking about when you were first talking with Harbor Shores and Whirlpool before they even made the decision to bring you on, and what it's become today, is it surprising to you?
I don't know if surprising is the word I would choose. I always felt that having Whirlpool behind it gave me kind of solitude that it was going to be a successful project. Having this in their backyard, I think was a big deal to them. I would say the word I would use is rewarding. It's rewarding to see how the community's rallied behind it, how it's been perceived by second homeowners, vacation homeowners. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, it really is. All right. We're talking with Kerry Wright. He's the president of St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education, and we'll continue the conversation with him. We'll talk a little bit more about the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund here in just a moment and how you might help. And then also, if you have any questions about what's happening at St. Joseph Public Schools generally, that's all coming up in just a moment as part of our Moody on the Market update. And again, just a quick note, talking about sports, if you're interested in the Tigers, they do have a game this afternoon. It's an afternoon game. 1:10 p.m. is the first pitch. You can hear the Tigers play the New York Mets this afternoon at 1:10 on WSJM, because we are your official Detroit Tigers baseball station. We'll come right back with Kerry Wright in just a moment here on WSJM.
IMS is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance.
Partly sunny to start today. We'll see increasing clouds and showers and thunderstorms as we head into the middle part of the day. High temperatures today right around 75. We drop down to 52 tonight with chances of showers and storms. And then for tomorrow, partly sunny, slight chance of rain showers and a high of only 65. We do expect bigger waves to develop at the beaches tonight and through tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
But it doesn't affect us. So this is good news. 7:48, it's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. We're talking about other radio stations, not ours. Ours is just fine, but they're having some issues right now. We're talking with Kerry Wright. He's president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. And let's make this part of our Moody on the Market update, because during the Moody on the Market update, we talk about business updates. We talk about life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here. And we talk about interesting people you should know. And I think, Kerry Wright, you're definitely an interesting person and we should know. And it's part of, what you bring is part of life in Southwest Michigan and why we love it here, including the Maize and Blue Fund, the athletic fund that we'll talk about in just a moment. But the Moody on the Market update, it's brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today. They are your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. So in addition to your day job, what do you do for your day job, by the way? I know what you do, but tell others.
Great question. I own a residential real estate brokerage called Wright Properties.
Okay.
I'm the broker owner of that. We have been retained by Harbor Shores since 2008 as the exclusive listing agent for all things Harbor Shores.
Yeah.
So run a real estate brokerage day to day.
I run a real estate brokerage day. That sounds like a big job. So in addition to that, which we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. In addition to that, you are the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. And as if those two things weren't enough, you decided, hey, I'm going to get involved in this Maize and Blue Athletic Fund. How can people understand what that is and how can they help?
Great question. We have a very nice website with it's very informative, Maize, MAIZE, and bluefund.com.
Yeah.
Going to that website allows you to donate directly to the Maize and Blue Fund. It is a 501c3. We are waiting on our final confirmation from the IRS on that application. We made application at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
But we expect that any day now. And yeah, I mean, our goal with the Maize and Blue Fund is to do what our St. Joe Public Schools Foundation is doing, and that is raising nearly $1 million a year to deploy right back into our district every year. So that's our ultimate goal.
How do you raise that money? How does that happen?
Yeah, I think it's reaching out to people that have had positive experiences in athletics throughout their life.
Yeah.
Asking them to reflect on the role athletics played in making them who they are today, and how that opportunity can help our young folks at the high school, middle school, in athletics now.
Yeah, it's not just, when you think about this school experience, at least from my perspective, you think about reading, writing, arithmetic, but you definitely think about the team sports as well, and the relationships that you formed with your colleagues, your teammates. And you remember the wins, you remember the losses, and you just remember positively and fondly everything that happened around that. And that's what you're helping to promote.
Yep, you got it. Yeah, all of those things, how to be a good teammate, how to be a leader, how to respond when things get tough, because life's tough.
Yeah.
And so sports is a great teacher of that. You talk to folks that have been successful in their life, whether it's in their professional life, their personal life, and oftentimes somehow sports comes back up in that conversation.
Yeah. So again, if you want more information, you can go to their website, and again, the website is
maizeandbluefund.com.
Okay. And it's a 501c3, or they will be shortly. And do you have the approval? Is that the approval you're waiting for from the IRS?
We've made our application to the IRS for that. We're just waiting on the formal yes.
We know people, so if they turn you down, you let us know. Okay. All right. That's the Moody on the Market update right now. Brought to you this hour by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. Back with more from Kerry Wright, president of St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education, in just a moment on WSJM.
Shop local.
All right, we're still on the video live stream. So what do you do when you're not school boarding or maize and bluing or selling brokerage real estate stuff? What do you do for fun?
Oh boy, finding time for fun is challenging when you have 3 kids.
Yeah,
as active as our kids are.
Yeah.
I was just sharing this story last night. My middle daughter, Sadell, just this fall is doing middle school volleyball, middle school cross country, flag football, and travel soccer. That's just one of our girls.
That's a lot.
And so my wife and I,
the athletic locker must be stuffed.
Yeah, but my wife and I, like a lot of parents, have become underpaid Uber drivers, getting kids where they need to be.
Yeah.
But no, I try to get to the gym a couple days a week. I enjoy working out. I enjoy playing golf. Golf is one of those games that requires time, and don't have a lot of that at the moment at the stage of life that I'm at, but enjoy golf. And then we have a beautiful backyard in the summer that we like to spend time in as a family.
Yeah, nice. No, you're right with the sports. I mean, just one tennis match, I'm still suffering the sunburns from just sitting there all day long, watching, waiting, being excited, and then watching and waiting some more. But no, it's good. And I appreciate. So Samuel, my 14-year-old, he's on the tennis team. He's freshman, and he just made varsity, so we're extremely excited about that. But one of the things that, we went up to Loy Norks to watch a tournament, and I asked him, "Hey, you want to ride back with us?" Because it's nice to go get a burger, ride with his brothers and stuff. And he said, "Well, Coach likes us to ride the bus back." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And he said, "Well, she feels it's team bonding time. I mean, you go, you compete hard, and then you come back, and you just, it makes for a stronger team." And I get it. And so, he rode the bus back.
Yeah, I love that. It gives kids an opportunity to kind of regroup, and, whether it's a win or a loss, and kind of bond with each other. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Any fun events coming up for Maize and Blue that we need to know about?
Well, we have our first home football game on Friday night against the Edwardsburg Eddies, and we'll be there. The Maize and Blue Fund will be there. We have our own Maize and Blue entrance into the stadium. It's on the west, kind of the west gate, if you will, closest to the lake.
Okay.
We're going to have a booth set up right inside the entrance there, selling our Maize Craze shirts and educating folks on what the Maize and Blue Fund is and how they can support it and help our student athletes. And then we have a big event coming up in January, kind of an athlete summit, where we're going to really focus on the whole student athlete, nutrition, flexibility, strength, the mental part of the game, how to treat referees and officials. Really, it's going to run the gamut, and we're going to kind of set it up as like a workshop, if you will, where students will get a chance to go pick 3 or 4 different topics they want to participate in, and then we'll have rooms scattered throughout the high school where they can go into and hear professionals speak on these topics.
That's a great idea. What spurred that?
I think the board that we've put together at the Maize and Blue Fund, really focusing in on what can we continue to do to promote well-being of the whole student athlete. And this was a pretty simple one from a conceptual perspective. Now it's just a matter of getting the right folks to speak to our student athletes on all these different topics.
Yeah, can you send parents to that as well? How to be a good,
we
good participant from the stands?
We do. We want to kick that event off with parents and student athletes all in the auditorium together and have a keynote speaker. Somebody like Mark Ewell, who is the head of the MHSAA for the state of Michigan, talking about, what does it mean to be a good parent as it relates to student athletes, and what that looks like.
Spoiler alert, it does not look like that person who's yelling from the sidelines, berating the officials or even the players. Hold that thought for just a moment. It's the WSJM Morning Show. We'll come back and conclude this interview with Kerry Wright in just a moment.
Proudly serving our community. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
7:57 WSJM Morning Show. We're just about to wrap up on our interview. We've been talking this hour with Kerry Wright. He's the president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. A lot of good information. If you missed any part of this interview, you can go back and watch it again on YouTube, on Facebook. You can do it on the WSJM Smart app that we have. Any of that, it's all available to you. And one of the things we were talking about is the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund. And Kerry, what do you need? You need money and you need people. How do we do this?
Yeah, great question. So maizeandbluefund.com is our website. Great place to go and donate if you're interested in helping student athletes at St. Joe Public Schools. And then in January, we're putting together a pretty significant event where we're going to have professionals in different aspects, like I mentioned, nutrition, the mental part of the game, how to recover
Yeah.
You know, that's a topic I think kids don't really understand and appreciate, is like, what does active recovery look like and why is it important? But if you're interested in being a speaker at that event, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Rick Dyer. You can reach out to Kevin Guzzo. We're looking for anywhere from 10 to 15 folks, experts in their field,
Yeah.
to meet with our student athletes and help them grow as individuals.
Okay. All right. It's the Maize and Blue Athletic Fund. If you need more information, go to their website. Kerry Wright, president of the St. Joseph Public Schools Board of Education. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. I really enjoyed our time together this morning, and looking forward to November 4th, when our voters will show up to the polls and hopefully provide the support we need to pass this bond and get our school going in the right direction.
And we appreciate you sharing the information about that. And we will continue to get updates from you as necessary. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's the WSJM Morning Show, Wednesday, September 3rd. We're looking at some rain later today. Partly sunny skies to start the day. Then we have a really good chance of showers and maybe a storm or two. A high today around 77 degrees, probably cooler by the lakeshore, probably a high around 73, 74 degrees. We'll have the full weather forecast today, tonight, and tomorrow coming up next. It's 8 o'clock.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. This